and welcome to round 3 of the Gran Turismo World Series, coming to you live from the heart of Tokyo, where everyone is battling it out for those precious championship points. This time, 10 out of our 12 drivers are here from Japan. So first of all, it means no jet lag, but second of all, they're looking for that home turf glory. Are they going to get it? Let's find out as round 3 kicks off.
To the beautiful Milano's Art Theatre here in glorious Tokyo with some incredible Gran Turismo fans. Hello everybody! We are super excited to be here in Tokyo. We do love it. But I'm not alone as always. Let's say hello to Tom and Jimmy. Hello guys!
Hi Jules, yeah, it's amazing to be here. What a city. Great to be back in Tokyo, what, for the first time since 2019?
Yeah, 5 years ago we were here for the last time, so amazing to be back. And what a place, the home of Gran Turismo. I can't think of anywhere better to host this event here today.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting. Manufacturers' Cup action to come, Nations' Cup to come a little bit later on as well. The season so far, JB, has been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been amazing. More action to come as well. But it's not just us three today. We're in Japan, of course, so we have a special guest, Jules.
We absolutely do. We didn't, I mean, our family is pretty big and it's pretty amazing, but we thought we could do with just one more awesome person. Please welcome to the Gran Turismo team for today, Sasha!
Hello, welcome to Milano-san. Well, welcome to Tokyo. Welcome to Tokyo, guys.
Yes.
How do you feel in Tokyo?
Oh, we love Tokyo. A little bit too much, maybe.
Oh, yeah? You're going to stay a little bit longer, maybe?
I actually am staying longer.
東京が好きすぎてちょっと長めに東京にいると決めてくれて観光してくれるようです。東京大好きだって。Great.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you for coming and joining us for today. Are you excited too?
Yes, I am. I'm excited for the best races. How about you two?
We're excited. I just want to know, how many languages do you actually speak, Sasha?
German, Japanese, English.
Well, we're still struggling with English.
Yeah.
So.
Let me help you in English?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
We speak 3 languages, but it's all English. Well, okay. Now, you might be up to speed. Maybe you're not. Maybe you need a little bit more information just to know what's going on. So we pulled together a little competition format.
The Manufacturers' Cup features 12 teams of 3 drivers. These teams were selected from the 2024 online series ranking. Each team consists of 1 driver from each of these 3 global regions: Americas, EMEA and Asia Oceania. 1 driver per team will race in each round, then all 3 will compete together at the World Finals at the end of the year. In the qualifying time trial, each driver will set a time over 1 attack lap. The results determine the grid position for the grand final race. In this grand final, 1 driver per team will race for World Series points. So, what's at stake? Well, only the top 6 teams score points. That, when combined with the points from round 1 in Montreal and round 2 in Prague, will give us the current series ranking. Only 1 team will be crowned the round 3 winner of the Manufacturers' Cup.
Well, there you go. Now, everybody should be up to speed, right? Everyone's ready and understand. Are you ready?
Yeah. 皆さん準備は大丈夫ですか？どうですか？盛り上がる準備は。
Yes.
They are.
Okay, quick question.
Yes.
Do they like free stuff?
無料でもらえるものは好きですか？
That's everyone, right? Right?
Everyone likes it.
Yes, of course. So, for everyone watching at home, you're going to get so much free stuff. We had to create a video so you could understand just how much there is.
何がもらえるんでしょう？
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 world map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers' Cup too. Just think of all of the free stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget you can enter and vote right up until the start of each grand final. Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watch the Manufacturers Cup in-game and you'll receive the legendary Mazda 787B91. If you want to see how you compare to our superstar competitors, head over to a new time trial in Gran Turismo 7, which mirrors the Nations Cup Grand Final here in Tokyo. The competition duration and car category is on screen now and will take place at Grand Valley Highway 1. Even more Gran Turismo World Series themed race events will be available in daily races of sport mode. Similar to the Manufacturers Cup here in Tokyo, featuring GR3 cars racing on Mount Panorama. Tune in and claim your rewards.
I tell you what, JB, one day we'll be able to get involved in some of this campaign stuff that we've got going on, but I always forget to set my PlayStation up before we head off across the world.
Yeah, but the upside is another live event, another series of goodies for you guys at home. Don't say we're not generous.
Hey, we try. We do try. Anyway, let's talk about the Manufacturers Cup coming into this one then. The points rankings after 2 rounds so far in 2024. Porsche lead at the top of the pile. You can see it's consistency that's got there because they've not actually taken an overall victory, but Lexus, courtesy of the win that they took in Montreal, Jimmy, despite only scoring 1 point in Prague, they're right at their heels.
Yeah, of course, Ferrari there in P3 as well, courtesy of Mohamed Badima's amazing drive at the Red Bull Ring last time out in Prague. But all to play for. We've got 5 teams still pretty much there in the championship hunt. So here are our drivers. You see a very heavily represented Japanese lineup here, Tom. I mean, who do you reckon is the most popular out there?
Well, that's the problem. Is it's hard to work it out because the crowd are absolutely loving it, and courtesy of the fact that we've got 10 Japanese drivers out of 12 on the grid for this Manufacturers Cup race. It's going to be hugely exciting. The 2 outliers there, Artemoto for Porsche and Lucas Vanelli for Mercedes-AMG. But you've got to say the likes of Cockburn, Yamanaka, Miyazono, they are the drivers that you'll be keeping an eye on. But we've got some new names in the field as well going into this one. Yun Hashima, he's with Ferrari for this weekend. We've got Sasaki in at Genesis. So it's all to play for, isn't it?
Yeah, there's just so much talent in this field. They're going to need it for this because they're taking on one of the most challenging circuits in Gran Turismo, Mount Panorama, otherwise known as Bathurst. One of my favourite tracks until I make the inevitable mistake over the top of the mountain and find myself in the barrier. But a track very much split into 2 halves. You've got half of the traditional racetrack and half is a street circuit.
Yeah, it sort of punishes mistakes, doesn't it, really? Especially as you come up through into sort of turns 2, 3 and 4. Then you go very much one at a time through there. And as you come down through that squiggle of turns 11 down to 18, you can see just how tight it is going through there. It's very much one at a time, and you've got no opportunity to make errors. And you can see here as well the Fanatec DD Extreme making its debut in the GT World Series. Hugely excited to have this here. All the competitors looking forward to using this one for the very first time in the Gran Turismo World Series. So we're not far away from going racing. Let's head back down to Jules and Sasha to kick this one off.
All right.
Wow. Well, now we know everything that you should be doing in theory.
Yes, exactly. さあ皆さんこれで準備は整ってますかね。予選の感じは分かりましたか。さあこのねステージの方盛り上がっております。客席が盛り上がってます。盛り上がってますか。盛り上がってます。イエーイ。行きましょう。Alright、予選スタートです。
So, qualifying time trial then about to get underway here at the Tokyo Gran Turismo World Series. So Sato then out on track in the Audi R8 as we come over the straight, up the rise, through into the right-hander. And you can see, well, it's a very, very tricky circuit at the best of times. And you can see a 10-minute qualifying session, but 1 flying lap for the drivers to contend with.
Yes, definitely. It seems we've got Sato out first in that Audi R8 going through the cutting for the first time. Now you get an impression of just how difficult this circuit is. You're really running the car to the wall at every possible circumstance. Almost touching there as we go through the mountain section. One of the most exciting pieces of racetrack in the world. On the curb there, almost into the wall on the right-hand side. Now coming up to Skyline, flat out over the top. And then how late do you brake going downhill? Gravity now is working against you. You've got to try and get the car slowed down, avoid the rear end coming round on you, and then try and be neat and tidy. Sato then so far, not very neat, it has to be said, over the top.
Yeah, coming down through in towards the next section, down the Conrod Straight. This is named so as because essentially in the old days, if you were pushing the car to the limit, you would be blowing a Conrod. You can see the crowd on the bottom left-hand side of your screen just watching on briefly as we see the focused face of Sato then coming down in towards the chase, the right-hander. Such a fantastic circuit this, whichever way you look at it, in towards the chicane. Hard on the brakes we go, through the left, then the right. Just one more corner of Murray's to go for Sato. It's been a nice and tidy lap for him here so far, and we'll see what the time on the door is going to be, because it's also the benchmark for everybody else, the carrot that will be dangled for them to have to chase. Over the timeline we go then for Sato in the Audi. They've not had a particularly brilliant season so far, and they started off with a 2-minute flat .176.
That's not a bad time. I saw some of the drivers practicing earlier on. A couple managed to dip in below the 2-minute barrier, but not many. So 2 minutes, 0.1, not bad. Can GOTY go any faster though in the Corvette now, coming down towards Murray's. His time looking okay, you say. This is a very tricky corner to get right. Very easy to miss this corner and go off into the next village if you're not careful. Comes across the start-finish line. Don't think it's going to be faster. No, quite a way off there. So it must have been a mistake we didn't see there from GOTY. 202.7. He'll be very, very disappointed with that.
Yeah, making his debut in the GT World Series is GOTY. Now, you can see here Miyazono, the Achilles heel of this Subaru this season has been in a straight line. And you can see him coming down the straight in towards the left-hander of Murray's.
Yeah, so the car looking good so far, but of course it is quick over the mountain. The time looks okay so far. It's a drag race to the line. What sort of time is it going to be for Miyazono? Dips into the 1:59 range there, and not even by a little bit. A 1:59.6 from Takuma Miyazono. What a time from here. Now here's a name we haven't seen for a while, Tomoyuki Yamanaka. Amazing driver. We've seen him a lot over the course of the Gran Turismo live events. Here this time, of course, repping Toyota, sorry. I swear I can tell these cars apart. And now we come into the last left-hander. Again, nice and neat and tidy. Bit quicker than the Subaru in a straight line this, so should get to the line quicker, but no, it doesn't. A 1:59.6, and again, you can see a shake of the head from Yamanaka there, so maybe not quite happy with that one.
Yeah, left a little bit on the table, didn't he, Yamanaka? So he'll be hoping for a little bit more. Now, what about Lucas Benelli? He's winding himself up here for his flying lap, and well, one of two Brazilian drivers racing here this weekend, along with Adriano Carrazza, who's in the Nations Cup. We'll see how he is going to fare later on here tonight. Out of the final corner of Murray's we go with Lucas Benelli, ready to start his one and only flying lap then in this session. Down in towards the first corner, and up towards the straight we go. Nice and tidy for Benelli. That Mercedes was quick a few years ago in the Gran Turismo World Series, but it sort of lacked a little bit over the last couple of seasons. If anybody can get the maximum out of it, it's Lucas Benelli. You can see they're still pretty handy in a straight line. Benelli up by just a 1/10 of a second or so compared to Miyazono in the first sector.
Yeah, this guy's been rapid for years in this car, and we have seen drivers chop and change over the years, trying out different manufacturers, trying to find the cars they gel with best, but Benelli forever has just been an AMG driver, so he knows this car probably better than anyone. So let's see how he can make a dance over the top of the mountain. For me, it's always just fantastic seeing how close these guys can get in there, actually leaving a little bit of paint there. Some illegal weight saving from Benelli, I think, trying as a mirror, coming over the top of the skyline. Now, this is where the car goes like. We go on board, great pictures here as you just throw the cars at the wall. Down here, you just wonder if you're going to stop really all the way down. You can see having a little bit of correction from Benelli as the rear goes light in that last part through here. You're flat all around the right hand and now into Forest Elbow. Big on the brakes here, hug the inside and drive towards the wall on the exit. Never feels good to do that, but it's the fastest way around. Not bad over the top there from Benelli.
Yeah, Benelli looking quite tidy so far. Lost a little bit of time on the exit as he headed on towards this Conrod straight, but let's see what the sector time is going to be here for the Brazilian driver. This will be the proof in the pudding. 1:31.1 is the time to beat, and he's dropped actually a bit compared to where he was. So 0.3 of a second is the gap he's got to make up if he wants to get it on to pole position. Coming through into the chicane we go. Looks okay through there for the time being as he heads it down towards into Murray's corner. On the brakes we go. Through into that left-hander. 0.3 of a second is a bit of a tall order to make up, especially in the closing stages of this lap, because there's not many opportunities to do so. What's it going to be here for Lucas Benelli? 0.3 of a second behind, and he goes into third quickest then. Now, Sasaki in the Genesis. Genesis, of course, podium finishers in the GT World Finals at the back end of 2023 in Barcelona, and they've not had a particularly brilliant season so far, it has to be said, in terms of where they sit in the standings. They're down in 7th place in the standings, but what is Sasaki going to be able to do as he comes out of the final corner across the timing line? 59.6 to beat. It's a 2-minute flat, so that puts him into provisional 4th place, but there's still a fair few drivers left to run. What about Ryota Kokubun? He could possibly be set to try and upset things here for these drivers. Looking at the sector times, it's not been anything particularly to write home about here in this 4th sector so far, JB.
No, not at the moment. We've seen Kokubun a lot. He's been a Mazda rep for a very long time, and again, similar to Benelli, if anyone knows how to drive the car fast, it will be him for Team Mazda. Across the line, though, it's not a bad effort. Oh, nearly, very nearly taking pole position away there from Takuma Miyazawa, but not quite. P2 there for Kokubun and Mazda. Here is Suzuki in the BMW M6. A little bit long on the tooth, this car, but still very fast around Mount Panorama. And sector times, not some decent sectors in there, but maybe not quite as quick as the top two. We know anything under 2 minutes is fast around here. So far, 4 drivers are there. Just shows you the strength of this field so far. Comes to the start-finish line. It's not going to quite go underneath 2 minutes, but it's good enough 5th place. 2 minutes flat there from Suzuki.
Yeah, not a bad lap time there for Suzuki. I think he'll be pretty pleased with that, all things considered. As you say, that BMW a little bit long in the tooth. Now, Nabatani in the Honda NSX. We've seen Valerio Gallo doing great things with that so far in 2024. He's coming down into start his flying lap then. So through in towards Murray's corner comes the Japanese driver and across the timing line. The first sector doesn't really give you a proper indication of where these drivers are at relative to the rest of the field. You sort of have to get through the second sector because that's where all the time gets won or lost as you go through over the mountain. You can see, though, a bit wide there for Navatani. That's going to cost him time, and he'll be carrying that all the way down this mountain straight.
He's waving down the straight there. I'm not sure he's waving to the fans or not, but maybe a bit of a showboat going on there. I mean, he's up at sector 1, so he's allowed to do that for now, but as you say, Tom, this is where it gets a little bit more serious. But easy to still make mistakes going onto the straights. If you make a mistake around here, the straights are so long that you just lose that time all the way down. So it's a track that really punishes you.
It's a mid-engine car, though, so it should be a little bit more agile, but the problem with that is you get the pendulum effect. If you do get it a little bit wide, the back end will come round quicker than you can think.
The last thing you want to do is have the car go light over the top of the mountain because there's just no room to correct it. But we're on board now with Navatani. Great, interesting POV shot of what it's like to hustle an NSX Group 3 car over the top of Mount Panorama. Oh my, it's so close to the wall there. It's pretty calm and collected, though. Let's see how his sector is compared to Miyazono. Comes to sector 2. Only 8 thousandths behind, so a quick time so far. This could be challenging for pole position. See Miyazono there watching very carefully. He knows he's under threat, Tom.
Yeah, penny for Miyazono's thoughts at the moment. This has been a mightily committed lap so far from Navatani then as he comes out of the left-hander, then down the Kombat straight. It's all about just keeping yourself patient and calm until you get towards the next corner of the chase. Over the crest of the hill we go. Nabatani's lap time so far has looked pretty handy here, but what is the Honda NSX's time to be like in a straight line? He drops a little bit, 900ths of a second. Now, just under a 10th of a second behind Miyazono's quickest time, who sits on provisional pole. Through the chicane we go. Looks okay so far here for Nabatani. Just 1 corner remaining. If it's not going to be pole position, he could possibly upset Kokubun's front row in the Mazda. Down in towards Murray's we go. Hard on the brakes, through into the left-hander. A little bit wide on the entry, a touch wide on the exit maybe, but nice and clean and tidy as Nabatani comes to the timing line, and he goes third quickest.
Oh, my word. I can't believe that. 59.6, and the third person did 59.6 and goes third. I mean, I'd be gutted if I was in, but a really impressive time there from Navatani. I think it's a new name for us here in the live events here at Gran Turismo. It's good to see him dealing well with the pressure of the home crowd. Here's Ashima in the Ferrari. Our winners last time out, of course, Ferrari at the in Prague at the Red Bull Ring. How are they going to fare here at Mount Panorama?
Not sure it's going to be anything to upset the apple cart, and it's not. 9th quickest there for Hashima in the Ferrari 458 there. How the tables have turned after 6 weeks or so when we were last out in Prague. Now Lexus, manufacturers champions of 2018. This man here, Kanata Kawakami, part of the lineup way back then 6 years ago. He's back in the car for 2024, and are Lexus going to be able to ruffle the feathers of the likes of Subaru, Mazda, Honda and Toyota at the sharp end of the grid? Out of the final corner and to the timing line. line. It's going to be pretty good here for him, and it's pole position. Fantastic from Kanata Kawakami, a 10th of a second to the better of Miyazono, and there's only one driver left to run. It's the Brazilian Artemoso. Porsche, of course, the current championship leaders.
That's huge for Team Lexus there. Of course, second place in the Manufacturers' Cup standings at the moment. Having that starting up further on the grid is very important round here at Mount Panorama 2. So that's a massive lap there for Kawakami. Can Mosso respond for Porsche? So our last car coming across the start-finish line. It's not looking quick, Tom.
No.
Comes to the line. It is a 2-minute .1. Puts him down second to last. So, big news. Mountain itself is definitely advantageous.
So, confirmation then of the results from qualifying for round 3 of the Gran Turismo World Series. It's Kanata Kawakami and Lexus on the front row. Takuma Miyazono makes it an all-Japanese driver and manufacturer front row as well. Then you've got Kokubun and Mazda on row 2 with Nabatani joining him. Then it's Yamanaka, Benelli, Suzuki, Sasaki, Sato, Hashima, Mosso down there in 11th place. The current championship leaders for Team Porsche, and then Goto down in 12th position. A lot of work for some drivers to do, but plenty of opportunity for things to change as we head in towards the 22-lap race coming up a little bit later on.
Yeah, I mean, amazing circuit this for a race. 22 laps around Mount Panorama. I mean, with this talent and this still, look how insane that is. We have 5 temps separating 6 different manufacturers. This shows you how close these cars are around here, Tom.
Certainly does. Well, let's go down then to Sasha. He is catching up with Kanata Kawakami, the driver that starts on pole position.
That's right, we have the pole position here. Pole position, Kawakami 選手、おめでとうございます。いやー、すごかった。It was 1/10 faster than the other drivers. さあ、コンマ1秒以上の差でポール。どんな気持ちでしょう？
出てたんですけど、それをまとめきれるかがちょっと心配で、ただまあイゴールがね、下り坂はブレーキを丁寧にってアドバイスをいただいたので、それも踏まえていいタイムが出たのかなと思います。
Wow, he was fast in the training session, so he had confidence. But Igor also told me that at the downhill, just you know, be a little bit white with, you know, not so strong with the brakes, and that helped me a lot for the pole position. Right. さあ、ということで次はレースということになりますが、next comes the race. How confident Lexus won the first round. So what is his tactics or what is his expectations for the race? さあ、初戦イゴール選手が勝ってますレクサス。このレースに向けてはどうでしょう？
ここで点を取れば最後のワールドファイナル非常にいい、結果でつなげることができるので、ここはもう優勝を確実に取りに行きたいと思います。
はい。If we win this, there is one more for the World Final. So, you know, so it will be a big points if we win this race. So I'll do best to win. いうことですが、何か戦略はあるんでしょうか？ Any tactics？ 戦略どうでしょう？
タイヤがかなり厳しい車ではあるので、そこのタイヤマネジメントを意識して、あと山区間は速いので、そこでなるべく差をつけて、1位をキープして走れるように、やっていきたいと思います。
The tires are, as you know, tough for this Lexus car, but we are fast at the mountain section, so I gotta do the best to win the race in the mountain sections. さあ、ということで頑張ってください。Good luck, and back to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sasha. Thanks to Kanata Kawakami. Looking forward to seeing what Lexus are going to be able to do. Of course, their triumph at the start of the season in Montreal. I mean, that's history. This is now, and we're really excited to see what's going to happen. But as we know in the GT World Series, anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. He seemed confident, but not confident enough. Anyway, if you're unfamiliar with how our live events work and the structure of our series, here it is in front of you now. We have 3 events, of course, Montreal, Prague and Tokyo, where we are now, all leading to the grand final. 12 teams in total, a different driver every round, and the cumulative points, of course, will run into the World Finals, where we get to decide our champion.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Anyway, let's have a look then, shall we, at what happened in Prague a few weeks ago. So this was the Manufacturers' Cup race. Bedima and Hengse, Ferrari and Porsche on the front of the grid. You can see wet conditions, and it went well for them in the opening stage. They pulled out a gap. It didn't go so well, though, for Kylian Drumont in the Subaru. He got turned round by Thomas Leboutelet at turn 4.
Yes, and Coca Lopez, of course, exploring every part of the circuit, as every good racing driver does. But it was a story of Mohamed Bedima opting to go on to the intermediate tyres early, getting a big gap. Unfortunately, we got into the closing stages. This was the undoing of Mercedes and Fenton there, getting absolutely launched off the circuit, and probably the biggest spin I've seen for a while. Absolutely.
This is the final corner then. Hengse on dry tyres, Bedima on intermediate tyres, and a very rapidly drying circuit meant that Bedima just was able to hold on by placing his car in exactly the right position. He came across the line to take his and Ferrari's first victory in a very long time in Bedima's first ever GT World Series event. Likewise there for Hengse. Leboutelet claiming the podium in 3rd position as well. So a hugely exciting event, and it really has upset things in terms of the point standings, because this is what it means. Porsche, despite having not won a race so far this season, with their consistency after being on the podium in round 1 and round 2, have a 2-point lead over Lexus.
They do, but they are starting second to last in this race coming up. So really the big players in this, Porsche, Lexus and Ferrari. Lexus are looking the best at the moment there in P2. But it's not just the top 3. Honda, BMW and Mazda very close behind as well. And with 6 points up for offer today, the standings could look very different come at the end of the race.
Absolutely, you can see their reigning champions, rather former champions, I should say, Subaru, down without any points so far on the board. Don't forget, of course, it isn't just the Manufacturers' Cup, though, here for the GT World Series. Nations Cup comes along the way about an hour or so after we have concluded the Manufacturers' Cup, so we're very much looking forward to that. And speaking of the Manufacturers' Cup, let's get ready then, shall we, and meet the 12 drivers who will be going on to the stage to do battle here tonight for round 3 of the Gran Turismo World Series. Audi aiming for their first points of 2024 here tonight.
ポイントを獲得する選手たちを期待しましょう。
And taking to the helm, it'll be from Japan, Shoto Sato.
日本から
Bit of challenging start to the season also for Chevrolet. They likewise will be aiming for their first points of 2024 here tonight.
今夜2024年の初のポイントを狙う
And driving for that team, the Japanese driver Yusuke Goto. Subaru aiming to bounce back from their difficulties in round 2 here tonight.
さあスバルはここでまた復活を狙います。
And taking to the helm, it is the 3-time former champion Takuma Miyazono. Next up, Team Toyota, former champions. They've scored just 1 point so far in 2024.
2004年はまだ1点しか取っていない元チャンピオン。
And hoping to change that tonight is 10-time event winner Tomoaki Yamanaka. Mercedes AMG haven't scored points since round 1 in Montreal.
第1戦のモントリオール以来ポイントを取っていない AMG。
But the multiple event winner, the Brazilian Lucas Pinelli, will be looking to try and change that here tonight. Next up, former podium finishers, Genesis. They were on the rostrum at the World Finals in 2023.
2023年のワールドファイナルにも、入りました。表彰台にも登った。
And we'll keep an eye out and see what their new driver, Yuito Sasaki, can do in his debut event. Mazda are tied on points with BMW coming into round 3 of the GT World Series.
第3戦に BMW とポイントタイになっている松田。
But if there's one man that can change that, it's the 7-time Gran Turismo World Series winner, Ryota Kokubun. BMW finished 3rd last time out in the Gran Turismo World Series back in Prague.
前回のプラハでは第3位に入りました BMW。
And Saya Suzuki, one-time event winner, will be looking to try and add to that tally here tonight. Honda finished on the podium, 2nd at the first round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal.
モントリオールでは2位で終わりましたホンダです。
And Suki Nebatani will head their challenge here tonight. Ferrari took an emphatic victory over round 2 of the GT World Series in Prague with Mohamed Badima.
第2戦のプラハではですね、見事な勝利を収めたフェラーリ。
And this time out, they've got Yun Hashima, who will be taking to the field as they aim to make it 2 wins from 2 races. Lexus won the opening round of the GT World Series back in Montreal.
第1戦のモントリオールで見事勝利をしましたレクサス。
And we've just seen him stick it on pole position, part of the 2018 championship lineup. It's Kanata Kawakami. And last but not least, 2 podiums so far in 2024, and also the championship lead coming into the penultimate round of the season.
さあ最後に登場するのはここまで2戦とも表彰台、そしてチャンピオンシップのポイントリーダーということになります。
The Brazilian Arthur Mosso's moved from Renault to Porsche for this year, and he will spearhead their challenge here tonight. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our host nation here in Japan.
それでは日本国歌の演奏です。
Well, the national anthem of Japan plays out for our host nation here. Round 3 of the Gran Turismo World Series in Tokyo. Moments away from getting action underway in the Manufacturers' Cup. Very much looking forward to this one, Jimmy, especially at the Mount Panorama circuit as well, because as we saw in qualifying, it doesn't have punished mistakes.
Yeah, there is a potential for a nice amount of chaos here. Obviously, we don't wish that on our competitors, but this circuit, as we said earlier on in qualifying, one tiny mistake and you're in that wall, you're bouncing across the circuit. So, I mean, these guys are the best of the best, but, you know, not everyone's perfect.
No, absolutely not. Least of all myself. 22 laps of action for the drivers to contend with at this Mount Panorama circuit here tonight. Let's have a closer look at the details going into this one. So you can see racing hard, medium and soft tyres available for them. They must be used at least once. Tyre wear rate there's at times 4, so they're going to be pretty worn out because it's a very busy middle sector of this lap.
Yeah, basically it isn't anything that isn't the soft tyre is going to be slow over the top of the mountain there, but of course it's not all about that. It's about pitting at the right time and making use of each tyre at each phase of the race. 22 laps is a decent stint around here. It's going to be a long race for these guys, and as we said before, big concentration needed around them. I mean, I've done endurance races round Mount Panorama before, and it's one of those circuits that if you take your eye off the ball for one moment, that's it. It's just all over.
Who are the drivers to watch then for you here tonight, Jimmy? Because you know, it'd be hard to look past Kanata Kawakami given that emphatic performance in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Miyazono, we want to watch on lap 1. He needs to, I think, try and get out ahead if he's going to do anything in the Subaru. But I don't think he's got the pace to do so. You say Kawakami looking pretty chilled there, to be honest. I'd be a bit more nervous over him sitting in front of the grid with all that talent sitting behind me. But of course, also make note of Lucas Bonelli as well in that AMG, not too far off the front of the field there. And we know how experienced he is in that car over a race distance. So
well, we spoke about tyres, didn't we? Let's have a closer look, shall we, at the tyre strategy going into this one, because I think that's going to be pretty interesting. As I said, racing hard, medium and soft tyres available for the drivers. And this is what the boffins at Polyphony have come up with. Doesn't necessarily mean the drivers are going to go with that, though, because we've seen this come up a few times before, and then the drivers will just go on a completely oddball strategy and do something completely different. Yeah,
I think the tyre boffins, as you've sort of dubbed them, they get it right most of the time. 50% of the time, maybe, but yeah, I mean, it just shows you that. I mean, we don't really anticipate more than a 2-stop around here, although sometimes we've seen that. People like to try and use that soft tyre more than once, which you're allowed to do, but of course, as you see at the bottom there, every time you stop, it's going to cost you roughly 23 seconds, so is it worth another pit stop for that? Probably not, but our drivers will find out.
Predict the winner campaign reckon that Subaru are going to take the victory with Takuma Miyazono. 61% of you. I tell you what, though, there's a few people in there that I reckon could upset the apple cart. Lucas Bonelli down there, as you said, very quick in qualifying, but only 3% of the audience reckon that he's going to do the business.
Mate, no pressure for Miyazono. 61%. That's pretty massive. That's crazy.
Goodness me. Right, well, we're about ready to get this race underway. Let's go down to the floor with Jules and Sasha as we get ready for the grand final.
Oh my goodness, I am so ready. Are you guys ready?
皆さん準備はできてますか?
Yeah?
You know, Jules,
Yeah.
you're not only human,
Yeah.
there's a crab over here.
We have crabs here too!
カニさんがいます。盛り上がる準備できてますか?
盛り上がってる準備はできてるカニよ
He said, I crab it. Like a crab it. It's a Japanese joke. He's ready to do it. さあ皆さん準備はできてますね。それでは行きましょう。いよいよレーススタート盛り上がってきます。The race is to start.
Time for round 3 of the 2024 Gran Turismo World Series Manufacturers Cup Grand Final action. About to come along the way then here in Tokyo. Let's see what is going to happen as the drivers prepare to do battle at Mount Panorama. And here is how the grid lines up ahead of the 22-lap strong race. Pole position, Kanata Kawakami for Lexus, put in a great lap time right at the end of the session. His compatriot and former world champion Takuma Miyazono for Subaru is alongside. Then it's Ryota Kokubun for Mazda heading row 2 with Nabatani for company. Next up is Tomoaki Yamanaka, a stalwart of the championship in the Toyota. He's got Lucas Bonelli in the Mercedes AMG for company. Then Saya Suzuki in the BMW M6 with Sasaki in the Genesis alongside. Next up is Sato in the Audi, not a particularly brilliant qualifying for them, but the big shock is Ferrari, winners last time out, only 10th on the grid for this one, and championship leaders Porsche down in 11th place with Arthur Mosso making a mistake on his lap. GOTY completes the 12-driver strong field. As we said, 3 different types of tyre combat available to the drivers. Kanata Kawakami here, Jimmy, going on the soft early, seems like he wants to get away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that is the strategy if you're out front. Use the soft, use that clean air, and just try and drive into it. And the thing is, because no one's challenging him on that stint, no one's challenging him on the soft tyre there, that's going to be, he's going to be very happy to see that, because it means he can just use that tyre to the best of its ability. Miyazono, the opposite strategy behind for Team Subaru, going for that hard tyre, as does Kokubun. So they're going to be the cork in the bottle for the guys in the mediums behind on that first lap over the mountain.
Certainly are. So coming through Murray's corner, the final turn of this Mount Panorama circuit. Drivers are in place. There's Arthur Mosso. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders to try and hold on to Porsche for their championship lead. We're about ready to go racing then, as the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup is about to go green here at Mount Panorama. Action is about to begin. World Series 3 here in Tokyo is underway. Kawakami leads the field down towards the first corner, followed by Miyazono and Kokoman. Through Hell Corner we go. On the run, up the mountain straight and in towards the mountain section we go for the first timer. Start there, of course, which is spreading the field out courtesy of the rolling start, meaning that we shouldn't see too much action in the first couple of corners, but as we come over the crest of the hill and it begins to tighten up as we head through in towards Griffin's Bend, that's where we'll see drivers getting very close to one another and maybe trying to launch a move before we go into the one-at-a-time section.
Say that already. Look at the gap between Kawakami and Kokuman, who's got through past Miyazono. They're really struggling for speed on that first lap, dropping down from P2 to P4. Kokuman out in front now on that hard tyre. Navatali, the first of the medium runners, eager to get through as well. But look at the gap, 2 seconds already to Kawakami out front. This is exactly what he wanted.
Amazing start there from Kanata Kawakami. You can see here, Kokuman, he's going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle. Navatali's on the medium tyres, so though they're not the fastest compound, they will be that bit quicker than Kokuman. Miyazono also on the hard tyres, struggling to get them up to temperature in the first few corners. Keep an eye out also for Yamanaka in the Toyota Supra. There is Kawakami putting up nearly 3 seconds by not even the end of the first lap. Through the Forest Elbow we go and down the Conrod Straight for the first time, and you can see how nose to tail it is throughout the rest of the field. Down the Conrod Straight we go. This is where we'll see the slipstream coming into effect and where we should see the medium shot runners breezing past the hard shot runners. Here is Yamanaka on the back of Miyazono. That Subaru's not ever been particularly quick in a straight line. Miyazono in the Toyota draws alongside his compatriot and goes through into 4th position before we've even reached the end of the straight and in towards the chase. Oh, and wide there as well for the Honda of Navatani. Kokuman ready to try and take profit of it, but Navatani just about manages to hold firm in second for now.
4 seconds is a gap on lap 1. Kawakami's just gone, right, mate, I'm going to win this here. He's just left the field behind. Obviously, a long race yet to go, but that's about as good a start as you can have, I think. Meanwhile, the battle for second and the rest of the hard and medium runners are pretty much all stuck together as we come onto Mountain Straight for the second time now. This is where we get to see the straight line speed of the cars. I mean, having taken a drink for every time we said that Subarus are going to struggle in a straight line, because that's going to be a big factor in this race.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, not a particularly brilliant start for the likes of Mosso and Hashima. They're still 10th and 11th as Yamanaka breezes past Miyazono heading in towards Griffin's Bend.
What can you do?
No, absolutely nothing. That's it. He's just a sitting duck at this point, isn't he? So Kawakami here, he's trying to break away from the rest of the field, isn't he? Well, he's already done that, 4.1 seconds. I think he's trying to channel his inner Igor Fraga. If you remember, what Igor loves to do is lead from the front, doesn't he? Doesn't like to get bothered by anything behind. And, well, he's clear as... makes no difference for the rest of the field. He's not going to be bothered at all, is he?
Yeah, we had Igor Fraga here at our lovely venue, hyping up Kawakami before the race up on stage. So maybe those words helping out a little bit, of course. Here are drivers, you see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, soaring away at the wheel. It's hard work, this, on the sim. You wouldn't think it is, but you can really work up a sweat trying to hustle these cars over the mountain here as they'll come down one at a time. A replay now. This is Kokuman and Navatani. I think this was the overtake we saw earlier. It seemed a bit rough from me from the replay. Let's see it again. He was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said there. Went a bit wide. Kokuman tried to come back, and looks like they just about avoided contact there. Very nice, clean driving, but Navatani sending in like a missile into that left-hander.
Yeah, fantastic overtake there from Navatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. You can see, meanwhile, further back, as I said, Mosso and Hashima not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or, you know, a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Hashima, surely I'd have thought the sensible money would be to get onto a quicker compound of tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazono getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Well, Miyazono, they're opting, yeah, as you say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way in these events that the hard tyre is kind of just lava. You know, you don't want to be on it at all. But it's one of those things where you want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a faster compound of tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure what the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is giving himself a massive amount of space. Look, there's no one in front of him now, and now he can just try and hot lap, because he knows if he's racing other cars, they're getting the draft. He can't keep them behind him, so he's going to try and basically gain time this way.
That's going to worry too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close to him on circuit, he's on the medium compound of tyre. Now let's have a look here at Kokubun versus Yamanaka up the mountain straight. This is for third position then, so side by side these two drivers going. Yamanaka just breezing past once again, and also Benelli getting overtaken there by the Audi of Sato. So that's up through into fifth position as well. Now the field beginning to spread out a little bit. You can see the medium shot runners breaking away a little bit from the hard shot runners, aside from Kokubun, who's still got Sato all over his rear wing. Yeah, good fight here for fourth place between Mazda and Audi. Interestingly, the gap to the front of Kawakami. Oh, Sato much quicker on exit there, runs into the back of Kokubun. That's about as rude a hurry up as you can get there from the Audi driver, and now they're going to be drafting down the straight. Is that along the bump I saw down there? Unsure. Looks like they're maybe using the old stock car tactics there, trying to gain a bit of time on the cars in front. Will Sato go for a move? They go to look in the mirror too, but Benelli's there. So up the inside goes Sato, up into fourth place. Does he yet? Kokubun runs a little bit wide. Can Benelli take advantage of that there now? Just about side by side. I think that Kokubun comes out ahead, but that's what happens if the racing is so close. If you lose one position, you end up losing another one just because you're offline. Kokubun there deciding, you know what, I've had enough of these hard tyres, I'm coming into the pit lane. But what I was going to say before all that started is the gap at the front stopped growing. And Nabatani there, who was sort of giving it all that in qualifying, is now on this medium compound of tyre and matching Kawakami on lap time. Well, about 2-3 tenths slower a lap, but to be honest, that isn't so bad around here. No, normally you'd expect the gap to be about 1.2 seconds or so between the different compounds of tyre. So interesting to see there for Kawakami versus Nabatani. We'll keep an eye on that. Kokubun's off the hard tyre. He goes on to the mediums then for his middle stint. Goto also coming into the box in the Chevy Corvette from the hards, likewise on to the mediums. Now Kokubun ahead there of Saya Suzuki. That's pretty important, but is he going to be able to retain that position as he comes up the mountain straight and in towards Griffin's Bend, because this could upset Kokubun's race here. He wants to try and run in clear air. Down the straight we go. Suzuki's on the outside. He's got the slipstream and he's got the place really easily there, and that's not what Kokubun needed. The crucial thing when you're coming out of the pit lane, you're trying to get the undercut compared to some of the other drivers, you need clear air. You don't need to be battling with somebody that's out of position compared to you, and that is going to really put a spanner in the works for Kokubun and Mazda.
Yeah, this is what we kind of meant about pitting at the right times. Here's Mosso and Hashima, our current first and third place in the standings at the moment. They're going side by side, just about keeping things there. Championship standings, that is, a 7th and 8th in the race at the moment, but a drag race all the way down Mountain Straight. So this is great to watch for these guys, and great battling, but of course, if they are swapping positions like this every corner, it's going to cost them a little bit of time. Mosso does go up the inside, though, finally, of Hashima, but yeah, very close, these guys right now.
Yep, Mosso then getting the better of the Ferrari driver. Here is Kawakami still continuing on. Having a look at the sector times, they're looking pretty okay still as it stands for now. He's just, as we said earlier on, driving a nice clean race. The gap up to nearly 6 seconds, and you can see there a look at the tyre wear as well. His front significantly more worn than the likes of Nabatani, Yamanaka and Sato on the medium tyres who haven't pitted.
You can hear the car from the corner, the tyres are screeching. And actually, he was slower through the last sector than both Nabatani and Yamanaka behind on the medium compound of tyres. So I think he's already, as you say, Tom, he's really worn those fronts. We heard him actually just before going to this race with Sasha saying that he's a bit nervous about tyre wear in this car. And we're seeing that already. They're struggling, that front end, really pushing on. So understeer, if you're unfamiliar, basically, think about it if you're about to hit a wall. If the front hits the wall first, it's understeer. If the rear hits the wall first, it's oversteer. And at the moment, the front is really pushing out. You can't get the car to turn as much as he wants it to, and those tyres are screeching in protest, and it's only going to get worse as the tyres get more worn.
Yeah, if you want a sort of more literal example of that, go to a supermarket, fill up your shopping trolley right at the front end and then try and turn it. That's understeer for you. Kawakami on board with him. The gap coming down to just under 5.5 seconds. So still a nice comfortable cushion for him. He's just got to drive as cleanly as he possibly can, try and eke these soft tyres out for as long as is viable. He doesn't want to stay on it forever, because obviously they're going to fall off a cliff at some point. That performance is going to go, and if he's on them, he's going to be a sitting duck later on in the race. You've got to time this tyre change to perfection. And Kawakami, you can see him there nice and smooth on the steering, just one solid movement going into the corners, not trying to soar away at the wheel, and just trying to keep that gap at a constant. So this is what we usually see in these GT World Series races, is it starts off pretty exciting. We get different drivers on different strategies all sort of working themselves out. Then we get a little bit of a lull sort of in the middle stages. And then once it all works out with the strategy later on, you've got different drivers on different tyres who have pitted at different times. That's when the race will really begin to come alive. I don't think Kawakami is going to be boxing on this lap or indeed the next lap, but he's certainly going to be on his radar before too long.
Interestingly, Nabatani is kind of matching Kawakami for sectors now, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. Here is Suzuki in the BMW trying to come past Kokiman. Of course, both these guys are pitted already, and Kokiman's decision to pit early maybe not the best one for him as he gets overtaken in a straight line. Yeah, that's a re-overtake as well. We saw an overtake there coming out of the pit lane a couple of laps ago. Kokiman managed to get ahead of Suzuki, and then Suzuki's gotten ahead of him in turn again. So Kokiman there now 1.5 seconds behind Suzuki. Crucially, he's out of the slipstream range, as we've got Benelli for AMG, Sasaki for Genesis, and Hashima for Ferrari, all in the pit lane then here on lap 6. So second and third both lapped quicker than first place on the last lap. So those medium tyres now are starting to come into their own as the soft tyres start to wear. So in comes Benelli going onto that soft compounder tyre now. Let's see what he can do on this stint. Comes out in traffic behind, I think that was Kokiman and Suzuki. So he's going to drive up to the back of these guys and have to get by on the circuit. So not ideal for Benelli, but we'll see if he can make the best of it. So you watch Kawakami come over the mountain for the 6th time. Those front tyres now really starting to get to the danger zone, especially down here. You do not want those front tyres, that front right tyre in particular, just knocking down there to 24%. And that for a corner like this, Forest Elbow coming through here, that front right tyre is pushing on. You just try not to put the car into the wall on the outside. That's going to get tougher and tougher. And I won't be surprised if we see him pit very soon. Yeah, I wondered if he would be actually the end of this lap, come to think of it. I said earlier on I didn't think he would be, but to be honest, the tyre wear has really gone down quite significantly for Kanata Kawakami here, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that either this lap, if not the very next lap, for the Japanese drivers. So coming through into the chicane we go. Now, does Kawakami box at the end of this one? Just to remind you, Lexus second in the point standings, 2 points behind Porsche. Points awarded for the top 6 drivers. Kawakami decides to come in then into the pits. A bit of a late call there for him, but all is fair and okay. They practice these pit entries all day. And Kawakami then, where does he go now in terms of the strategy? Does he go to the hard tyre for this middle stint, or does he try to go on to the medium tyre and try to weather the storm a little bit? Either way, he's going to lose the lead here. Nabatani and Yamanaka, who are yet to pit in this race, continue on, and they will take over at the front of this one. And Kawakami in the box. We still wait for the decision on where he's going in terms of his tyre strategies. He comes in for a new set of Michelin tyres on his car. He goes to the medium tyre then for the middle stint. That seems quite sensible for him, so he's going to try and go for a long middle stint here in this race and then run the hard tyres at the very end of this one. The thing is, what this does now then effectively kind of locks in the strategy for the likes of Nabatani and Yamanaka, because they need to be on the soft tyre at the end, because their nearest competitor, in theory, is going to be on the slowest compound. So interestingly, Miyazono, of course, who pitted earlier on for those soft tyres a bit earlier in the race, fastest man on track at the moment, also has the fastest lap of anyone at 2:06. Very impressive in race trim with that fuel in the car. It's now 5 seconds behind Kawakami on the road and is on the faster tyre. For now, though, of course, the advantage this Subaru has, being a little bit lighter than the other cars out there, it does go through the tyres a little bit slower than the other cars out there. So you might wonder, oh, it's not fair, this car's slow in a straight line, but it's fast in other parts of the circuit, which is what makes the Manufacturer Series so unique. So many different brands, different approaches to going fast, and they're all using, of course, our balanced performance system, have a very similar lap time. So it's always very, very cool to watch as we get an awesome onboard shot of Miyazono. I mean, surely, if you're unfamiliar, one of the Gran Turismo greats is Takuma Miyazono, and with Team Subaru as well. Been a long-time Subaru driver, taking this manufacturer to the series win a couple of times in the past as well. I wouldn't want anyone else in this car. I think maybe Mick Azal. Come back, Mick, we miss you. Don't forget about the QR code on your screen at the moment as well for more information about the drivers if you want to find out
little bit more about the men behind the wheel of the cars at the moment. I was trying to work out a way of putting that.
That would be a great Rickroll opportunity. That would be an amazing opportunity.
Certainly would. So here is Miyazono then. Soft tyres for him. Of course, they're going to wear that a little bit quicker. Started this one, as you can see, on the hard compound, but he's running the softs in this middle stint of the race. He's in a nice bit of clear air at the moment. The gap between himself and Kawakami pretty stable as it stands for now, but Miyazono will be starting to eat into that before long.
Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, 2:01.3, 2:01.4, sorry, last time out. Of course, Kawakami with the box, 2:03.7. So the gap has it's stabilised around 5 seconds between the two. So I think Kawakami is using that medium tyre, and Miyazono is coming to the end of the life. And let's look in the background there, as that's scary to see, isn't it, when you're in a little Subaru trying to make your way down the straight. Lots of cars in the background. Meanwhile, Namatani still leading, 3 seconds to good over Yamanaki, Kokubun and Suzuki. This battle continuing, apparently, as Kokubun goes back past Suzuki in the Mazda. They're being clever about it, though. They're doing it on the straights. They aren't fighting in the corners. These guys, they know how to race each other. They know how to be quick over a race distance. One is different to be quick over a single lap and over a race. And these guys have raced together for many, many years. So definitely a little bit of collusion there between the two, I'd say. But I imagine that'll fade away as the laps fall down to the end.
Yeah, putting a good show on for the crowd. They are here so far, aren't Kokubun and Suzuki, as it stands for now. Keep an eye out for Benelli, because he's not far down the road from these two drivers as well. You can see him there just flashing past your screen in the Mercedes-AMG. 2 seconds now is the gap between himself and the two Japanese drivers, but also, of course, Benelli is on that softer, quicker compound of tyre. Let's have a look and see how Kokubun set this one up. So coming out of Hell Corner, and Suzuki there a little bit wide onto the curb. Kokubun, of course, with the advantage of the slipstream as well, pulls behind the BMW, pulls towards the right-hand side of the BMW, and blasts past the BMW quite nicely for Kokubun.
Not the most spectacular overtake, but it works. If it works, it works.
The good thing is they're not costing each other too much time, aren't they, compared to the likes of Benelli, who will be bearing down on them, as we said before, too long. Interestingly now, one of the top three who haven't pitted, Sato, comes in on the medium tyres. I'm fairly sure he's going to have to go onto the hard tyre and then run the softs at the end of this race if he wants a chance of a podium, but I could be wrong.
Seems early, but the rear tyre's failing a little bit on that Audi, which I'm not surprised. I've heard that car isn't kind to its rear tyres, but just to go back to Suzuki and Kokubun, I mean, they're not costing each other time. I think they're gaining each other time. They're using that slipstream to just slingshot past each other, gaining a few extra kph per straight if they were just driving on their own. So watch out for these guys. This might be a bit of an interesting strategy from those. Sato there going on to that soft compound in the Audi. Let's see if it can keep those tyres alive for more than a couple of laps. Now, does Miyazono go for one more lap on those soft tyres? We'll find out, as Sato's come out just behind Sasaki, who goes up into 8th place for Team Genesis, and that is not what Sato wanted there. He wanted to be ahead.
No, absolutely not. He wanted to be on the soft tyre, as you say, but the problem is it's so much one at a time as you come up through the mountain. You just have to sit behind him and let him dive to the inside. Oh. There's a bit of contact there, and Sato just backs off the throttle and allows Sasaki to hold on to 8th place for now. It was a fair old dive bomb going through the left-hander, and you don't make many clean overtakes going through that part of the lap unless you've got a willing dance partner. Sato not able to make that move stick, but now he's just going to be hemorrhaging time, and this could prove to be quite costly for him if he just loses more compared to Sasaki. And then, of course, relative to the other drivers who he was close to on the circuit before his pit stop.
Yeah, Stewart's having a look at that as they do with any contact, but I don't think it's going to be, oh my word, Sasaki there getting it all wrong, and we're going to see an overtake down towards front, but we're not. Sato having to wait a little bit longer now, and this is what Sato was just... He was scared of this, getting stuck behind a guy in front on worn tyres who's just trying to keep it together and just costing you time. It's so frustrating when you're the driver behind there, but that's what you've got to do. That's racing, and sometimes using worn tyres in this way is just as effective as using your tyres when they're quick. But Sato now pulling alongside. I didn't think we see too much opposition there from Sasaki. Sato up into P8, but that was a slow out lap there for the Audi driver.
Nice good overset there from Sato then, as he makes the position, goes up into 8th. Proves me wrong in terms of the strategy as well, so he went on to the soft tyre. I thought he was going to go to the hards. Proved what I know, absolutely nothing at all.
We all knew that.
Takuma Miyazono, 6th position for him as he comes into the pit lane then from the soft compound of tyre. And let's see which way he is going to go. He's already run the hard tyre, just to remind you, so presumably this will be the mediums right to the end of this race. As we said, the crucial thing for him is he needs a nice bit of clear air. He's into the box at the moment. Interestingly, Hashima and Mosso not far adrift of Sasaki for 8th position. Just to remind you, points on offer for the top 6 finishers in this race at the moment. Given the fact that they are 1st and 3rd in the championship for Porsche and Ferrari respectively, they will not be scoring any points so far here tonight.
No, it won't be, but we'll see. Obviously, the race has still got 12 laps to go. Miyazona, I think, is strategy-wise, is playing this very well. I mean, he's putting himself in clean air, and he will be able to see that Nabatani and Yamanaka in heavier cars have managed to do 10 laps. It will be 11 laps next time by on this medium compound tyre. This Subaru, which is a bit better on its tyres, will be able to go longer than that. So yeah, medium to the end now for Miyazona. And again, look at that mini-map on the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's the gap he's got to the rest of the field. So we can just drive into that gap now, try and get those laps. Basically, it's qualifying laps now for Miyazona for the rest of the race, if he has any chance of catching the leaders. Kawakami and Nabatani at the front there, the ones we're sort of watching for once the pit stops are all said and done. But interestingly, we still have 2 drivers who haven't even pitted yet.
Yep. Nabatani and Yamanaka really eking out those medium tyres, aren't they? They want to go for as long as they possibly can. So presumably they're going to either go onto the softs and run for as long as they can on those and then do a really short stint on the hards at the end of the race, or they're going to go onto the hards in the middle and then go onto the softs at the end. Let's wait and see what will happen for those 2 drivers. And crucially, when they're going to come into the box as well. Having a look at the tyre wear, they're pretty warm, but they're not too bad.
Just having a look at Miyazona there, checking out the big screen and seeing what everyone else is doing there. That's one of the advantages of being here, of course. You can just have a quick look up to the monitor and go, oh, right, he's on that tyre, is he? Oh, he's got that tyre wear, is he? I wonder how he's doing. But Nabatani, I've got to say, for someone who is relatively unknown to us, doing a great job so far. I mean, those rear tyres looking a little bit worn, especially that rear right tyre, which would be under load right now coming through the cutting. But doing a great job, very mature drive so far, but only half the race down at the moment.
Yeah, Suki Nabatani in the Honda doing a fantastic job. As we said, podium for that team in Montreal, if you remember, for the first World Series event of the year a few months ago, and an opportunity here for Honda to try and capitalise on their home support here tonight in Tokyo. So I just love this onboard shot. It's so fantastic, threading the eye of a needle down through this section of the circuit. Is this one of your bucket list tracks?
Yeah, I love to. I mean, well, of course, one of our German commentators, Mr. Florian Strauss, won this race in Bathurst 12 Hour in 2015. He never talks about it, actually. But yeah, I would love to race here, of course. A reminder as well, we are live in 7 different languages, of course, speaking of my German commentators. I mean, English broadcast is the best, we know that. But if you want to see what mediocrity looks like, you can check out the other broadcast.
Checks in the post for them now, I'm sure. Be happy about that. So we're at the halfway stage then of this race, and it's going to come alive, I'm sure, towards the very end of this one. So Nabatani, Yamanaka, the only 2 drivers left to pit at this one. Everybody else, as you can see, has made at least 1 pit stop. Benelli and Sato's tyres doing all right so far, but Nabatani does come into the pit lane at the end of the halfway stage, and Yamanaka also following suit here as well. So what Yamanaka needs is he needs a really good middle stint. Let's see whether these 2 will diverge in terms of their strategy, and crucially, where is Kawakami going to emerge? He's surely going to end up in the lead, because what is it, 25 seconds, isn't it, for the pit stop, and he was 15 seconds behind. So nice and easy there for Kanata Kawakami, and I think, if anything, he'll be extending that advantage. So this is proving to be quite nice for Kawakami, but just to remind you, he does have to run another set of tyres, the hard tyres, the slowest competitive tyres, right at the end of this race, which possibly some other drivers will not have to do. Nabatani goes soft for the middle stint of this one, and Yamanaka also following the same strategy. So all the drivers then, despite the fact they've started on different competitive tyre, hang on a minute, here's Cockburn, who's managed to drag alongside Nabatani then and goes through into 2nd position. What
a nightmare for Nabatani. That's, again, same thing. He does not want any traffic, and just that, he'll be absolutely ruined that. Only a 10th difference there, which is a bit quicker on the in-lap. That wouldn't have happened. But again, now he's got to try and pass him on the mountain. But interestingly, the gap before any pit stops is about 5 seconds. It's now 10 seconds to Kawakami in the lead. So really opened it up.
Look at Benelli here as well. He's having to really defend from Tomoaki Yamanaka, both on the soft compound tyre, but Benelli's tyre significantly more worn, courtesy of pitting earlier than the Japanese driver. the samurai, as he's known by our Italian commentators. Oh, into the wall there for Benelli. That's going to really put him on the back foot, possibly leading under threat here from Yamanaka, who's got great traction and great momentum. Has he got the opportunity to use it, though? It's going to be one at a time through here, surely, and he's going to have to bide his time. Sato's there, ready in the background to try and take profit of it as we come down through in towards the forest elbow. All of that momentum, but no room to use it there for Tomoaki Yamanaka, down through the left-hander, and this is going to be a case of when and not if for Benelli to be losing possibly not one, maybe two positions. Down the Comrod straight we go. Yamanaka has got the slipstream. He'll have the overspeed here. Benelli's car's quick in a straight line, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the newer soft shod Yamanaka, who pulls alongside down the Comrod straight in towards the fast right of the chase. Benelli loses 5th place. Yamanaka's up a position there as well, and Sato is still lurking in the background, ready to take advantage.
Yeah, he did well to keep him there, but it's got to be a pit stop now for Benelli, surely. Yeah, into the pits he comes. I
thought he was diving to the inside there.
Mega lunge there from, no, not quite coming in the box there to, I think, yeah, it's about time to get off those tyres. So soft tyres coming off that car. We'll let you know what he goes on to once he pits and gets up to his stall. So here is the replay of, I think this is Nabatani on Kokubun. Around the outside, they've got the inside now for the left-hander, easy overtake. The Kokubun also, I think, understands that right now this isn't the fight he needs to be in. Drop behind, try and get pulled along a little bit and save a bit of time that way. But yeah, a clever move there by Kokubun, I think, to let that one go.
I'll tell you what, though, because Kokubun and the likes of Yamanaka, not too far apart from one another actually on track as well. Suzuki in the middle of those two drivers, and Yamanaka on the quick soft compound tyre, new soft compound tyres compared to the medium shod Suzuki and Kokubun at the moment. So he's going to be slowly creeping onto the back of them. He's already taken half a second out of those drivers on this lap alone in the first sector.
Yeah, so I mean, it just shows the difference that the tyre advantage gives you around here. Of course, a little bit of skill in there as well, but the tyres do play a big part of that. Here is Kokubun, very experienced driver at these live events. He was actually at, I think he won the 2018 Nations Cup event. Back when it was done a little bit differently back then, and I remember there thinking, man, this guy's quick. And ever since then, he's always in the top 5, always there or thereabouts. And with Mazda, is no different. On board with Yamanaka now. Yeah, not seen him for a while, have we? It's good to see him back.
It is good to see him back. He's always a driver who provides a lot of entertainment for us. You can see him giving you a wave down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He's driving nice and calm at the moment, and he looks to be in a position to pounce on the drivers in front of him before too long here. So let's keep an eye on Yamanaka's progress in the middle stages of this race. This is the thing for the likes of Yamanaka and Kawakami, etc. They've got so much experience here. They've been in this position a good few times, and they know how to handle pressure and races like this. If you look to some of the newer drivers on the international stage here, I'm thinking of the likes of Hashima, of Goto, etc. They don't have the relative experience compared to those around them, and that could prove to be to their detriment in the live event environment that we have here.
It's different. We say it every time we do this. It's different racing in front of a big crowd, having two annoying English guys talk over the top of your racing, than being yourself. I am. Than being in your sort of comfortable space you're used to driving in. But look at the speed difference here. Will we see him move from Yamanaka? Yeah, he's going for it straight away. No time lost there for Yamanaka, up into P4. And now he goes on to the back of Kokubun. But I think Suzuki let that happen. In the background, though, Sato started to gain as well. I was going to say he did have the fastest lap until just then. Yamanaka setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 2:02. That was faster than some people's qualifying lap.
Amazing, amazing job from Tomoaki Yamanaka. Suzuki just also hitting it into the wall, going through the left-hander of the cutting as well.
What's that?
Yeah, just a bit of a kiss there for him. And Kokubun now with a face full, or a rear view mirror full, I should say, rather, of Tomoaki Yamanaka. And again, this is going to be a case of when and not if. You can't really make a move going through here, but we have seen Yamanaka very close. You can see him right on the ragged edge of adhesion through the Forest Elbow we go, and down the back straight, and Yamanaka is surely going to breeze past the Mazda. That Mazda pretty handy in a straight line with its rotary Wankel engine. Don't ask me to say that one again. Down this straight we go, though. Yamanaka's going to pull to the inside. Kokeman's not going to try and defend this one too much, I don't think, because Yamanaka, different strategy, newer tyres, and indeed the Japanese driver in the Toyota up through ahead of Kokeman in the Mazda.
Yeah, really nice move there. I think he made the right choice to do it there and not go for a lunge at Forest Elbow. I think he could have made the move there, but he had the draft, and that would have gained him a bit of time as well, although he would have lost a bit for the elbow. But anyway, Yamanaka turning into a real contender in this race.
Have a look at the lap times here with Kawakami. He was some 2 seconds slower a couple of times around. Whether he made a mistake or something, I don't know, because the lap times are a little bit closer this time around. Kawakami at 2:02.2, Nebatani at 2:01.1. Nebatani, of course, on the softer compound of tyre compared to Kawakami, but that gap was over 10 seconds. It's now down to, what's that, 8.2.
Interestingly, on the same tyre, Miyazono is one of the fastest guys on circuit on the medium compound tyre, and he's still in that little gap right now, just gaining and gaining and gaining. So the gap coming down the front, down below 8 seconds for the first time in a while, as Nebatani starts getting the best out of that soft compound. But behind him, Yamanaka, incredibly fast, but still 3 seconds down the road. So most drivers now on the medium compound tyre. We think we've seen the last stop from Miyazono, Benelli and Sato, with the rest of the field still owing. So keep an eye on these guys as the race progresses. Collision somewhere there, Tom.
Yeah, Moto and Hashima colliding with one another. They've been pretty inseparable throughout the entirety of this race. Sadly, for the wrong reasons as well, because they're not in the point standings, and at the moment they will be set to lose their positions in the championship here, and we will have a new championship leader. Let's have another look and see what happened here between Moto and Hashima. So this is down what looks like the mountain straight in towards the right-hander. Hashima closing the door. Moto, for my money, was very firmly up the inside already.
Yeah, I'd say that he got turned in on there. A shame for Hashima, but he was there. You can't just pretend he's not there. So we'll see what the stewards say. We have a bit of a running joke, me and the stewards. Like, will I agree with the stewards this time around? So
and if you're playing bingo at home, you can cross that one off your list.
So it's that. What else do we have? The Subaru's fast, straight line, rotary Wankel. We've got some good ones in there.
Yeah, we certainly do. So we're coming in towards the business end of this race, and this is where it's really going to begin to hot up, because we've got the strategies to come into play, and we've got drivers coming into the pit lane then at the end of lap 16. Kokeman and Suzuki coming in. So they are going off of the medium compound of tyre. They're going to be going on to the softs. Now, they are going to have a lot of pace in the closing stages of this race. Miyazono's made his final stop, as you can see. He's on the medium tyres towards the end of this one. Hashima also in the pits after being in the wall a few corners ago. GOTY coming in for Chevrolet as well. So a flurry of activity in the pit lane here, and a smorgasbord of drivers that are going to be going on to some quick compounds of tyres, which could be proving to be a bit of an upset for some of the other drivers. I'm thinking of the likes of Kawakami, Nebatani, Yamanaka, etc. They all owe the hard tyre at the end of this race.
Yeah, we've seen the track position doesn't really matter around here too much, because these straights are so long you can just draft by the guy in front of you. But now it'll be a fast finish for these guys. So Benelli, interestingly, behind this back, as is Sato as well, on that hard compound. So for Sato, really, that's kind of his race over. I don't think he's going to come back from that. But Kokeman, Suzuki, Goto and Hashima, who's a bit further down the field now, all on those soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, Miyazono has been quietly making moves there on that medium compound tyre. So we will keep an eye on him. He owes no more stops. Kawakami, our leader, does owe one more stop, and more importantly owes the hard compound tyre, which you've seen is the slowest. So how many more laps can he get out of that medium? I think he's really burning through these tyres, Tom.
Certainly is, and he's got to try and eat them out for as long as he possibly can to not lose as much time. But the thing is, you've got to find that right window, haven't you, where you don't want to stay on the tyre for too long, and you want to have as much pace as you can whilst you're on it. So if you stay on it for too long, you'll be set to lose pace. Kawakami leading then on this one, owes the hard tyre. Likewise, Nebatani and Yamanaka. Is he going to come into the pits at the end of lap 16? Not this time. Oh, he does. Late move into the pit lane there for Kawakami. That's all okay.
He's going to be a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be on the hard tyre then for the closing stage of this one. I'm looking at the likes of Sasaki, at Miyazono, at Kokeman, etc. All on the, they're going to be on the soft compound of tyres towards the end of this one. Because, well, Miyazono's not, in fact, he's already on the medium compound of tyre, but these drivers are going to be on quicker compounds compared to the top three, at least.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to now see where they all line up. So in comes Kawakami, of course, our leader. Where is Miyazono in relation to this? This could have been a masterstroke by Takuma Miyazono. Kawakami comes out of the pits. Where is Miyazono? I don't see him. I think he's just a bit to 5 seconds is the gap there. So that 5 seconds has sort of held for the entire race. But Kawakami is now on the slower tyre. It's going to take a while to get some heat into those Michelin hard tyres, and Miyazono already out there, already on some warm medium tyres. It's going to be a lot quicker on this first lap.
Well, we've got 5 laps now remaining. It's about a second or so a lap, so it's going to be pretty close here for the podium with Kawakami and Miyazono. Let's keep an eye on that battle and see how it develops. The crucial thing is here, Nebatani, Yamanaka, etc. Again, all owe those hard competitive tyres, and are they going to be possibly set to lose out on the podium in the closing stages of this one? Because they've still got a box, they're on the soft competitive tyres, and they're coming towards the end of their useful shelf life. Yamanaka's more worn than Nebatani's at the moment, so Nebatani may get an extra lap compared to the Toyota driver, but we'll see how that's going to play out.
I think using my incredibly large Galaxy brain, Yamanaka and Nabatani are going to lose 20-odd seconds in the pits. So put them down to 3rd or 4th position.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Miyazono is the real outlier here because he's on the quicker competitive tyre for the closing stage of this one. Don't count out the likes of Kokubun and Suzuki. I mean, it's going to take a fair old mission for them to challenge for the podium, but it's not out of the question. The soft tyre is just so much faster, and anything can happen here in these races.
But it is faster, but we've seen it really drop off towards the end of the stint. So even if you're quick now, you have to nurse it a little bit to get it home. Otherwise, you're going to end up just running out of tyre and not being able to fight anyone. So Miyazono going down the straight. Nabatani boxing. This will be a really good indicator to see where they are. Yamanaka opting to stay out a bit longer on that soft tyre.
That surprises me because Nabatani have more tyre life left compared to Yamanaka.
It does, but they're in different places. It's Yamanaka in that Toyota, more front biased, more tyre wear on the front right tyre, whereas Nabatani in the mid-engined Honda NSX, a lot more tyre wear on the rears, which around here, especially over the top of the mountain, sketchy. So maybe a better idea to go onto the hard tyres now, more for safety.
I think Miyazono's pulled an absolute blinder here. He's going to breeze past Nabatani, surely.
Yeah, there he goes.
There he goes, yeah, straight through, off into the distance, and Nabatani emerges in 4th position. Crucially, though, you've got Kokubun and Suzuki on the soft tyre, not far away at all, so it could go from bad to worse here for Honda and for the Japanese driver, with 2 other cars bearing down on him.
So at the moment, the real fight is between Miyazono and Kawakami at the front. You can see there, we're 3 seconds faster on that last lap, but that does include the outlap of Kawakami as well, so that is going to be a little bit inflated, but we'll see what his time is this time around. But the gap is 3.6 seconds, about 3.5 laps to go. Kawakami in the wall there. You can see he's really struggling. I think he's just not getting that heat into the tyres, and he knows he's under pressure as well, and that can really get to you if you're not used to it.
Well, this is really beginning to hot up in the closing stages of this race. Nose-to-tail action here, and Nebatani surely is going to be a bit of a sitting duck because Kokubun and Suzuki both on the soft compound of tyre coming down through this section of circuit we go, and this is where it's one at a time, but down the Kombat straight is where we could see and probably will see some moves being made, because I don't think Nebatani, despite the fact that he's a very talented driver on that slow compound, hard compound of tyre, is going to be able to do anything to thwart the challenge of the Mazda and the BMW that sit in its wheel tracks then. So down the back straight of the Kombat straight we go. Nebatani pulls to the left side of the circuit, and Kokubun is surely going to be able to pull alongside him before too long. We go side by side down the straight we go. Yamanaka's into the pit lane here. Kokubun is into 4th position, into the chase, and keep an eye out for the BMW of Suzuki as well, who's going to look for the outside line. Nebatani's going to park the car on the apex and thwart Suzuki's charge for the time being, but will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely fantastic for Saya Suzuki and the BMW as he goes up into 5th position, and Nebatani drops down 2 places in the space of 2 corners.
And nothing you could do there, just drove clean around the outside of them. So great move there by Suzuki. Yamanaka into the box for his set of soft hard tyres, comes out in 4th place, right in the train as well, and there is Nabatani, just lost a place. He'll gain 1 back now from Yamanaka, and I think that's horrible for Yamanaka there.
Well, the positions are really important here because it's down to 6th place for the points. You want to get yourself as high up as you possibly can here for Tomoaki Yamanaka. Miyazono is on the ragged edge of adhesion, though. 3.3 seconds last time around, to give you a bit of a flavour of how different the lap times are. Kawakami a 2:02.1, Miyazono a 2:01.6, about half a second or so quicker than the Lexus last time around was Miyazono. Kokubun even quicker than those two. I don't think Kokuben's going to be close enough. I think he'll be dead on for that third place, but the win may be a stretch too far. It all depends on how these last few laps look for Kawakami in terms of the lap times. We've seen him a little bit under pressure. He glanced the wall last time around, and if the pressure starts to get to him and he starts making a couple of errors, that's where we could see Miyazono ready to take profit and ready to try and take the victory.
Yeah, half a second faster last lap is Miyazono. That's not enough, though. It needs to be a bit faster than that to catch on to the back of Kawakami. You can see that in the same frame for the first time since the start of the race, and it's been a long way round for Miyazono, but Kawakami and Miyazono are still in the places they started in. First and second place right now, with Miyazono on the charge in the Subaru, but behind them is Ryota Kokubun. Now, he only needs to be really within a second of Miyazono to start picking up that draft down the straight, and the straights are so long here that that could be enough for him to catch and then pass Miyazono in the Subaru. Let's get a look at the lap times as they come back through. Kawakami still not yet coming to the line, but it was a 2:02.1 last time around for Kawakami to Miyazono's 2:01.6. They're coming across the line.
It's definitely less than that. It's got to be, surely Kawakami's got to be slower than Miyazono. Only by a couple of tenths of a second, though. It's not much.
Same lap time.
Yeah, 2:02.1 for Kawakami, 2:01.9. So is Miyazono just off the gas a little bit? It's Kokubun that's very firmly on it, and he's closing that gap down 2.7 seconds now to Miyazono.
But he's now under threat from Suzuki. And I told you these guys wouldn't be as good friends at this point in the race. Kokubun is now starting to defend. Every point counts here. Kokubun going defensive into Griffin's corner there, running Suzuki around the outside, who's going to drive it round the outside in the M6. He likes that, doesn't he? Suzuki up into P3 there. What a move from the BMW driver. Maybe he's the threat. He did a 2:03 last time around, 1.5 seconds faster than Miyazono in front, and nearly 2 seconds faster than Kawakami. He might still have a chance to win this.
2.5 seconds then is the deficit that he needs to make down to Takuma Miyazono there and thereabouts over the course of this lap. 2.5 laps to go in this race as well. Just remind you, points awarded for the top 6 finishers. If it stays as it is, we will have a new leader at the top of the pile, because Porsche not scoring, Lexus possibly on for a podium finish here. This is Kokubun versus Suzuki. Kokubun tried to hold the inside line. Suzuki said thanks very much, then I'll go to the outside. Managed to just drive it through that right-hander. Better traction on the outside of that corner, despite not being on the grippy part of the racetrack, and got himself up through into third position. So down the Conrod straight we go. Kawakami, 2.7 seconds. The gap kind of levelling off here, isn't it? I tell you what, Kawakami's race, if he does win it, that was won in the opening stint, where he was able to just drive away from the rest of the field, do an Igor Fraga, as it were, clear off into the distance, and he's given himself that comfortable cushion for now.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a wobble mid-race for Kawakami, but he's sort of come back around now. I think now he knows that I don't think he can catch me. I think I'm good. He's just chilled out a bit there and is now just getting on with it. 2:02.5 from Kawakami to Miyazono's 2:02.1. That's enough. That is enough for him. But in the background, Suzuki and Kokubun still squabbling. They lost a bit of time through that fight last time on the last lap. Not quite as quick as they were before, but I think now, actually, Suzuki and Kokubun are going to be engrossed in their own fight, and they're not going to go after Miyazono. Of course, both these manufacturers, they do have points on the board. They're actually tied right now for points, BMW and Mazda in the standings. So whoever comes out on top there will move up. But this team, Team Subaru, currently non-score. So any points that Miyazono can get, the most he needs to basically stay where he is. He can't afford to lose anything. For Kawakami and Lexus, this is perfect. Porsche are not going to score. They're in P10, and Kawakami and Lexus are going to take full points, which will rocket them to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Lexus could be set to lead it going into the World Finals in Amsterdam at the start of December. Kokubun and Suzuki under investigation for a collision as well. Has there been something off-screen that we haven't seen? You can just see Kawakami into the distance, and Miyazono, well, he's there and thereabouts, but he's not quite close enough. Let's have another look here. Suzuki versus Kokubun. So this is this time around. Oh, they had contact going into Griffins, and Kokubun got sent into the wall there on the outside. It was only a sort of wheel of contact really going into there. Not much at all, but the slightest of touches when you're on the limit like these drivers are, and it can cost you very dearly indeed. And speaking of costing very dearly, Suzuki still just 2.1 seconds behind Miyazono. Down the Kombat straight we go with the BMW driver Saya Suzuki. BMW currently 5th in the standings coming into this one, tied on points with Mazda, so they'll be getting the better of them not only in the race but also in terms of the points finishes in this one as well. Just to remind you, 6 points awarded for the victory, all the way down to 1 point for 6th place. So Toyota will be the last of the point scorers as it stands for now.
Miyazono's not safe. Suzuki has really upped the pace there on that last lap. We come on to the final lap here in the Manufacturers' Cup in Tokyo. Mount Panorama is your circuit, and we're on board with 3rd place. BMW, Suzuki at the wheel, the fastest man on track at the moment, and he is bearing down on Takuma Miyazono. 1.7 seconds is the gap right now. We've got 2 big straights here, which is going to be a big disadvantage to that Subaru. But can Miyazono hold on over the top of the mountain?
Well, let's see what happens here with Suzuki versus Miyazono. Surely it's going to be in the twisty stuff going into the Kombat straight, where he'll be able to gain that time, Suzuki, over Miyazono. But we know also that that Subaru, conversely, is really handy in the twisty bits. You can see him, though, in front, dangling that carrot for Saya Suzuki at the moment. And half a lap left in this one to decide 2nd and 3rd in this race. It is not over. Suzuki right up against the wall. He is leaving nothing on the table in the closing stages of this race here. But I wonder if it's just going to be a charge that will come a little bit too little too late. Down in towards this section we go. This is where Suzuki will be gaining time on that soft tyre compared to Miyazono. Down through into the Forest Elbow section, and then on towards the Conrad Straight. Kawakami has driven an absolute blinder, by the way. He's managed to keep that gap pretty constant at 2 seconds in the closing stages of this one. The gap now down to 1.9 seconds. It's close for Miyazono and Suzuki, but it's not quite close enough for Suzuki to be in the slipstream of the Subaru driver. So down the Kombat straight we go for the final time, and this has been a quite brilliant race for Lexus and for Kawakami. He managed to get into the lead of this one at the start of it from being on pole position, drove away from the rest of the field on the soft compound of tyre, built up a gap of 5 seconds, doubled that to 10 seconds when all the pit stops worked out, and after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their 2nd victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo in the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Lexus who spearhead themselves to the top of the tables, ahead of Takuma Miyazono for Subaru in 2nd, and Saya Suzuki on the podium for BMW in 3rd place. Fantastic race there. What a drive from Kanata Kawakami. That was absolutely textbook.
You can tell that he is sweating. He felt the pressure on that one. But as you say, Tom, that couldn't have gone any better for Team Lexus. We had Igor Fraga here, of his Lexus teammate, really bigging him up on the stage earlier. And you know what? He delivered. You cannot argue with that. And as you said, during the commentary track, during the race, Tom, it was that first stint that put him there, that first stint that gave him the buffer he needed just to be able to drive home to the line there. Good effort there from Nabatani for Team Honda, but just not able to make the most of his strategy in the end, coming home towards the back of the field. But it was Miyazono as well immediately going over to congratulate him. And Suzuki, I think, actually quite happy with that 3rd place, it seems.
I think relieved more than anything, wasn't he, to be fair, given where BMW have been over the course of this season. They were level pegging with Mazda for 5th in the championship standings coming into this one, and that is a strong result for them to get themselves ahead. Let's have a look then, shall we, at some highlights from this one. Kanata Kawakami and Lexus started this race on pole position, and Kawakami, as we said, on that soft tyre, just drove away from the rest of the field. They all started squabbling behind. We saw some great overtakes between Yamanaka and Miyazono. Miyazono had a bit of an anonymous first half of the race, as it were, on that hard compound of tyre, but it was towards the end where he really began to come good with that alternate strategy. This was Nabatani with a send to the inside of Kokoban going into the final chicane on this circuit.
Yeah, bold race from Nabatani. Didn't quite pay off in the end for him, but it was still nice to watch. Yamanaka making his way through the field as well, and Kokoban also happened to place to Sato in the Audi. Almost contact between the two, but just about managing to keep it under wraps there. And Kawakami Kawakami there, early going onto that medium compounder tile. I thought he should have went for the hard compound there, to be honest, but you know what? He won, so he knows better than me.
Kokkoman here versus Suzuki, and you can see what that cost Kokkoman at that point in the race. He started squabbling amongst one another. Benelli sunk a little bit towards the middle stages of this one as well. Yamanaka going through in the Toyota Supra. And then we saw Nabatani versus Kokkoman in the battle for second place at this point in the race as we headed in towards the chicane. Nabatani having a good run of things in that Honda, but sadly it didn't pay off for him. Considering where they've been this season so far, they'll be disappointed with their final position, and it puts them in a little bit of a disadvantage going into the final race weekend of the season in Amsterdam, because they were fourth in the standings coming into this one.
That's Suzuki there going around the outside and then doing it again at Griffins on Kokkoman, and that's my move of the race. That one there on Kokkoman, that one. Kokkoman there sort of thinking, what? he just did me like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, this is Kawakami driving nice and cleanly as he came out of the final corner to take a very well-deserved victory and catapult Lexus to the top of the standings. Kawakami taking Lexus' second victory of the season. Let's go down to Sasha, who's catching up with the winner from the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final here in Tokyo.
Yeah, what a win! Congratulations! おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Wow, I think he used the full benefit of starting from the pole. How was the tactics and how worked it? I think I worked it well, but まあポールからスタートしたんでソフトという完全になんかポールスタートの、一番いいところを使ったのかなと思うんですが、戦略はもともと通りだったんでしょうか。
もともとミディアムタイヤでいくかソフトタイヤでいくかすごい悩んでたんですけど、チームメイトと相談して、リスクをなるべく下げて単独で逃げようということで、ソフトタイヤでスタートすることにしました。
So he was thinking of soft tires and medium tires to start, but he argued with the teammates and decided to go with the soft and use the full benefit of starting from the pole. そして did the tactics change? You know, it was soft, medium, hard, but did it change in between, or was it straightforward from the beginning? ソフト、ミディアム、ハードっていうのは最初からその予定だったんですか？
そうですね。最初ソフトタイヤを履いたからにはソフト、ミディアム、ハードと速いタイヤの順につないで、とにかくクリーンな位置を走れることを心がけてました。
So it was from the start, medium, soft, medium, hard, and it went totally well because he had clean air through the race. So congratulations, top in the manufacturers. おめでとうございます。マニュファクチャーでトップ2勝目。
ありがとうございます。
Second win. Back to you.
Well, Kanata Kawakami taking a very well-deserved victory, a dominant display from Team Lexus then, and you can see just how much he won it by 2.2 seconds. Not exactly a commanding advantage by any stretch of the imagination, but it was the strategy that allowed him to drive that one absolutely brilliantly in the opening stage of the race, taking a crucial 6 points for Lexus and also the championship lead.
Yeah, that's a big score there for Lexus. That's really going to make a difference in the championship points. Let's have a look at the table now. And that's how big a difference it makes. That gap now goes up to 4 points from being second going into this race. Now 4 points in the lead from Porsche, who did not score anything here in round 3. So a big swing there in the championship. BMW, again, the consistency moving up into third place there on 8 points. Mazda and Honda also scoring with Ferrari, though, a non-scorer moving all the way down to 5th. Mizuno finally putting some points on the board for Team Subaru, but is it too little, too late?
Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it, for Subaru? Anything can happen in the Gran Turismo World Series, as we know. Ferrari, though, sort of hero to zero stuff really for them in that race, and also for Porsche as well. They will be very, very disappointed with that one. You know, coming into this one with a 2-point advantage, and you can see the likes of the other teams that are still there nipping at their heels. BMW only 1 point away, Mazda just 1 point further back from that as well. Don't also forget about the Michelin driver of the day. You can vote for that over the course of this evening, because we've got the Nations Cup to come a little bit later on as well. Do you think it's Kawakami? Do you think it's Takuma Miyazono? Or do you think it is Tomoaki Yamanaka? Vote on YouTube on the live stream and tell us who you think gets the prize. So, podium celebrations will be along the way for the drivers before too long. Looking forward to seeing our drivers celebrating on the rostrum. I tell you what, it has set up as an absolute treat, though, going into the World Finals there, Jimmy, because though, of course, now we've got an advantage for Lexus, it's not exactly like it's night and day's worth of a difference, is it?
Well, and we've seen what can happen. You know, Porsche came into this event as the championship leader, and now no scoring. It takes one bad race for everything to turn around like that. And you know, to win a championship, you've got to be consistent and you've got to be fast. And Lexus have been that so far. Grand final, of course, in Amsterdam coming up in December. Get your tickets for that, by the way. Will we see another repeat of what we saw here?
Just on the other side of the coin as well for other teams and drivers, Porsche, Ferrari, what on earth went wrong for them today? Where was their pace?
I don't know.
I know they'll be asking themselves the same questions, won't they?
I mean, I'd say that if we look at the standings, the front engine guys did pretty well around here.
Yeah.
The guys in mid-engines really struggled. We saw the NSX struggle. We saw the Ferrari struggle. We
Audi.
saw Porsche Audi struggled. Anything that wasn't a front engine car didn't have a good time around here this time around. So that is part of the series. That is part of the Manufacturers' Cup and how things chop and change. But yeah, if you're on the receiving end, it's not so great.
No, well, it is great, though, for our top 3 finishers. Let's get the podium celebrations then underway here, shall we, for World Series 3 in Tokyo. Third place for Team BMW. Please welcome Saya Suzuki. In second place, getting their first points of the season and a podium finish for Team Subaru, it's Takuma Miyazono! And with their second victory of the season and an advantage in the championship going into the World Finals for Team Lexus, it's Kanata Kawakami! And now, ladies and gentlemen, your respect, please, for the national anthem of our winning manufacturer of Japan. The national anthem of Japan plays out here in Tokyo for the winning manufacturer, Team Lexus. A commanding race driven by Kanata Kawakami. And an advantage of 4 points going into the World Finals in Amsterdam at the beginning of December. Now time for the awards to be presented. Presenting the third place award is Hiroaki Tanabe, the marketing communications for Brembo. And the award, of course, going to our third place finisher. Give it up for Team BMW's Saya Suzuki. Now time for the second place award to be presented. Chief Marketing Officer for Fanatec, Belma Nedarevic, presents this one as she makes her way onto the stage. To the plaudits of the crowd here in Tokyo. And it is, of course, awarded to Team Subaru and to Takuma Miyazono. And last but not least, it is time for the winning trophy to be awarded here in Tokyo for Gran Turismo World Series 3 in the Manufacturers' Cup. Kazunori Yamauchi, the Gran Turismo Series producer, will present it to the winner for Team Lexus and for Kanata Kawakami! that was an absolute cracker of a race for Team Lexus. They take a 4-point advantage going into the World Finals in Amsterdam in December. JB, I tell you what, they have pulled an absolute blinder. Victory in Montreal, 1 point, a little bit of a mixed bag in Prague, and now back onto the top step again.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for more. I mean, having that big of a gap going into the final round, I mean, you're almost guaranteed a podium. We'll see, though, of course. Still competitors there, still time for things to change, but Lexus definitely stamping down their authority on the series this year.
And if you want to see what is going to happen in person, well, you can get tickets for Amsterdam for our World Finals at the beginning of December. Tickets are now on sale. Take a look at this and see how you can come and see the action.
Fancy joining us for the World Series Finals? Well, it's going to be happening in Amsterdam, Netherlands from December the 6th to the 8th at Theatre Amsterdam, which is the same venue as last year's Showdown event. Gold tickets are on sale now. Head on over to GranTurismo.com before they run out. A trip to Amsterdam in December to watch the best Gran Turismo racing. I mean, what's not to like? It's going to be brilliant. But if you can't make it in person, don't worry. You can still catch all of the action online through our YouTube and Twitch channels at GranTurismo.com or directly on Gran Turismo 7. Now there's no excuse to miss the best of the best Gran Turismo racers battle it out in the World Series Finals.
Well, thank you so much. That was the Manufacturers' Cup. Did you enjoy it?
楽しめましたか？
Yes! We so very much enjoyed bringing it to you, but don't go anywhere because the Nations Cup is going to be in around about an hour, and that is going to get super spicy too.
あと1時間後にまたね、今度はネーションズカップが始まりますから、皆さんその準備も忘れないでしてくださいね。Right?
Yes, very much so. So thank you so much from all of us. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
またね。またすぐ。
you